Hello everybody, we are back for more ALR Silver action. We are here in Singapore. Welcome along to the stream, welcome along to the session. We just got ourselves loaded into the qualifying just as we got the stream up and running. So welcome to everybody here. We will of course be going through the 18 minutes of qualifying. Almost says 17, but we've got 18 minutes here of qualifying of the Singapore Grand Prix. Like I said, a few reserves tonight. Unfortunately, there's 5. I think there's 6 actually in total. Unfortunately, there's quite a few people who didn't like the fact that Singapore was on the calendar. It seemed so they got scared and ran away. But nonetheless, we've got a 20 grid. I think we've got 20 people on the grid. We have got one late joiner join in qualifying, hopefully. So there will be 20 on the grid when we get started for the race itself. But like I said, we're getting ready to get going here for the Singapore Grand Prix in silver. Of course, this is I think it's the 5th time we've raced in Singapore in total. I think it's been on the calendar for every silver season that we've had so far, which is very good indeed, very consistent of the Singapore Grand Prix, and it usually throws up a very interesting race as well. So stay tuned to this one. I think it's going to be one of the longer ones. I think it's the longest race on the calendar, if I'm not mistaken. We've just had the shortest race to the calendar as well, which was the Italian Grand Prix, which was last week. But of course, after this fantastic Singapore Grand Prix, of course that is in gold, which we had last night, silver tonight, and then bronze tomorrow. And then we have a break week, of course, next week. So it'll be the Easter break, of course. Everyone can go and have a nice Easter egg and celebrate the Easter egg and have some chocolate and stuff like that, which is great stuff indeed. Who doesn't like to have some chocolate on the weekends? So there we go. We're going to have a bit of a break next week for the chocolate eating people, and then we're going to get ourselves cracking again for the last few races of the season after that. So then we're going to be going, I think it's 6 races straight to the end of the season at the end of May. And then we'll be done and dusted. Kaz has joined. There we go. That is our late joiner. So he's joining now into the Haas car. And then he will be replacing Fanjo, who dropped out literally on the last minute. Unfortunately for Fanjo, not quite sure what happened to him, but hopefully he's all right. Or I think it was an external emergency. It wasn't anything to do with Fanjo personally, but it was a family member or something like that. So hopefully everything's okay for Fanjo. But there we go. Zealous has said he is back. He is in the... where is he? He is in... Where has he gone? I can't remember what car he's in. He's in the McLaren. There we go. He's not out on track just yet, but there we've got 2 reserves there in the McLarens tonight. It's Winnie returning there from his... I think he used to race in bronze and cobalt, didn't he? Did Winnie at the beginning of the cobalt era. But Winnie there, of course, back in the McLaren tonight as well, as is Zealous as well in the McLaren. So they're reserving for Craig R and Ultimate Beast, who unfortunately neither of them wanted to turn up for the Singapore Grand Prix. I think the McLaren team seemed to be a bit scared of the Singapore Grand Prix. But there we go. And then we've got, like I said, Kaz, who's just stepped in for Fanjo last minute. And then we also have Mumford in for Bradfield there in P9. Unfortunately, Bradfield has left the division, I should say. So he's not going to be taking part in the silver races anymore, unfortunately for Bradfield, which is a big shame because he actually completed 15 out of the 15 races up to the Netherlands. But then since then, unfortunately, he's not been able to take part in the rest of the silver grid, or silver races, I should say, which is a shame. And then we have got Vintage there in for Irvine. I think Irvine there did give a bit more notice that he wasn't going to be available to make it, unfortunately. So that is that there for the reserves. So there we go. But nice to see that we've got a full 20 on the grid. Of course, like I said, it seems to be not one of everyone's favourite Grand Prix, this one. It's a very technical and complex circuit. It's actually got a very low average speed, even though you think it's quite a fast-paced circuit at the same time. But because those walls are so close, I think it feels a bit faster, doesn't it? Here comes Dylan. He's going to be fast. We usually expect Dylan to be fast, and here he comes round the final corner up to the line. The 38.938 there is the first time set on the ball there. On the medium compound tyres, interestingly enough, as well. So he's gone for the mediums instead of the soft compound tyres, so maybe there is something interesting up his sleeve in the race itself. So we'll wait and see what Dylan has got in store. But a good time there indeed. V Todd there does a 41.0 there for his first representative time there. That is on the soft compound tyres. Danny is starting his lap now as well. Let's have a look and see who's going to be next to cross the line. Mumford is back in the pit lane now. He's decided to call it a day already on that lap. And here comes Kamara Racer bouncing over the curbs there of the old Singapore sling. Of course, it used to be a lot more treacherous than it is now, the current format. But there we go. We'll have a look back at Dopey Lemons, who's going to be the next driver to cross the line, I think, around the final corner here. Let's have a look and see what the Alpine driver can do tonight. Here he goes up to the line. It's a 38.6 there, and this time it's on the soft compound tyre. So he does beat Dylan's time, but by 0.3 of a second. But he's on a faster more pacey set of tyres at this stage of the qualifying. That is Reflection there, popped himself up into P2. Good stuff indeed from the Red Bull driver there, 38.8 as well. So it looks like the 38s is where the sort of median of the drivers will be roughly at this stage of the qualifying. Anyway, this first part, here comes Danny. He's also on the medium compound tyre, so maybe there is something up their sleeves there that the medium compound tyre is the better qualifying tyre. We'll have to wait and see. Kamara there does a 37.7, puts himself almost a second ahead of second place of Dopey Lemons there with a fantastic lap time indeed in the Ferrari, looking great indeed. And I think Kamara there, he's very fond of a street circuit when it's going his way. We have seen unfortunately Kamara there have a few difficult races in the past, but especially around Singapore I think as well. But hopefully tonight is his night there. He can get himself further up the order, and looking like he's currently one of the favourites for pole position as it stands. So that's an incredible time there from Kamara Racer. Very good stuff indeed from the Ferrari driver. Almost, like I said, a second ahead of P2 as it stands at the moment. That is, of course, only 5 drivers have set a time, so there's still plenty of time, plenty of effort, and plenty more lap times to come in from the rest of the grid. Here goes Danny there. Danny's up to P5 there with a 40.6 there, again on the medium compound tyres. So like I said, a couple of drivers, we've seen Dylan and Danny there just finish their laps on the mediums, going for the medium compound tyres instead of the softs. Bonjour, says Gordo. I'm not quite sure what that means. It must be French, but nonetheless, he's done a good job there of getting himself, well, he's on track now, sorry Gordo, I don't want to distract him now, as he goes into sector 3 there to finish off his lap. Brabbit there on the what tyres is Brabbit on? He's on the intermediate compound tyres, so I'm not sure what sort of tyre that is, what sort of choice of tyre that is from the Mercedes outfit, but one of them's gone on to mediums and one of them's gone on to intermediate, so I'm not quite sure if Brabbit has got it right there, but we'll have to wait and see. Gordo there coming around now to finish off the lap. Let's have a look and see what the other Alpine can do. Can he beat his teammate there with a 38.6? Let's have a look as he comes around the final corner up to the line. It's a 40.1. They puts himself P5 though, ahead of Danny there for the time being. Not too shabby indeed. So good stuff from Gordo. Up into P5 as it stands at the moment. Here comes Favre now. Favre just starting a lap there. He's coming down into sector 2. He's gone purple in sector 1 though, so that is promising there from Favre on this lap. Let's have a look and see what Zealous can do now as he comes around the final corner as well in the McLaren tonight. Let's have a look as he crosses the line. It's a 41.3 there, up into P8 there for the time being. Vintage has done a 43.3 there for the Haas driver. I'm not quite sure if that's a banker lap, just sending his sights, I think, hopefully, or he had a mistake on that lap, but fingers crossed he can go a bit faster in the next stage of qualifying. Here comes Farf now over the bridge and then around at the hairpin. Dan Murphy has lost his car keys. I didn't notice that. He's retired in the pit lane, so that is him not taking part in the qualifying, unfortunately for him. Into sector 2 again, purple for Farf. This is looking good indeed for the AlphaTauri driver. Let's have a look and see what he can do now in sector 3 as he comes through the next few chicanes. There's quite a few chicanes around here as the yellow flag is waving, I think, for the Mercedes, just getting back to the pit lane, but now under the stand, which has now been replaced. So I was going to say it's this bit has been sort of replaced, so it goes straight underneath, straight past the stand really, rather than just through and underneath now, doesn't it? So it's going to be a bit of an altercation for the or alteration, I should say, for the circuit in the actual Grand Prix. As here comes Farf up to the line, it's a 38.2 there, puts himself half a second behind Kamara still, but up into P2 nonetheless, which is a good time indeed. Good stuff from the AlphaTauri driver, and looking confident. Doesn't usually qualify, of course, does Farf? So he's looking all right for the time being at the top of the order on the front row as it stands as well. Here comes Mumford, of course, reserving tonight. He did a good job there reserving in gold as well yesterday, but hopefully he can do a bit better as well in the race tonight for silver, and then Mr. Elite as well, of course, reserving tonight in place of Potstuff, who's unfortunately having to work tonight as well. So he's going to hopefully be back after the break week for the Japanese Grand Prix in 2 weeks time from tonight. We've just seen Zealous, I think, jump up the order. No, it wasn't Zealous, it was somebody else. Vintage there has jumped up the order up to a 40.8 there, has improved by almost 3 seconds, which is good stuff indeed for the Haas driver there. Puts himself into P9 for the time being, as I think we've just seen. Dylan's coming across the line. Is he now? He's just starting a lap, I think he's Dylan. Mumford has jumped up to P5, so that was the driver who displaced Vintage there from P8 to P9, but Vintage has improved by 3 seconds almost on that time, which is good stuff indeed. Puts him more respectively in the order, and that is a lot better from Vintage. We thought he was going to do a bit better than the 43 that he set, and he has done that indeed. So good stuff from the Haas driver, of course, reserving tonight. He's usually the Williams driver in bronze, so we'll see him back in action tomorrow night as well. But we're looking for, this is a bit of a practice run there for Vintage. I think I'll just make sure he gets his setup just ideally set up, and everything else in the right order for the race tomorrow, so he can get some maximum points for the Williams outfit tomorrow night, of course. Here comes Mr. Elite there over the curbs there in Sector 3, round the final corner. He's going to be up into the... it's very, very wide there at the final corner. He's had a spin there, pushing the car too hard there through the final corner. Unfortunately, the Red Bull driver has gone off the circuit. He needs to make sure he gets out of the way of the oncoming cars as well. We don't know where he's going now. He seems to be all over the place, does the Red Bull. Hopefully he doesn't get disqualified as well, because that way that would ruin his qualifying formats as well, or qualifying session in total as well. That would be very mean from Codemasters if that happens. Here comes Cassell now. He did go purple briefly there in Sector 2 as well, so hopefully Cassell can get a good time. And he did say at the beginning of the race before the session started that he wasn't confident in his setup, but hopefully he can have some confidence at the end of this lap when he sees his time when he crosses the line. Let's have a look and see in the next couple of corners what can the Alfa Romeo driver do. And well, he's had a problem there. I went to look at the comments as Dylan goes fastest on a 37.3. I went to look at the comments and I didn't see the Alfa Romeo have a spin at the penultimate corner there, unfortunately for Cassell though. But hopefully he can get himself back to the pit lane. There's no damage, I don't think, on that Alfa Romeo. He can get himself back in the pits and onto a new set of tyres and try again. He's still got 6 minutes left of the session, so there's still time there for the Alfa Romeo driver to get himself sorted. Smithy is out on a lap there. Winnie is also on a lap as well. Here comes Brabbit, who's on to the soft compound tyres now, so he's changed off the intermediates and looking to improve on a 43.7 there. Let's see what he can do. Dylan, like I said, went up to P1 briefly there. He's been displaced though by 0.3 of a second there by Nigel, the championship leader. He's improved massively, has Nigel there to well, he hasn't improved. That's his first lap time on the board even as well, so a very good first lap there around the Singapore circuit. But Dylan there has done a good job there getting on the front row for the time being as well. Kamara Racer hasn't well, he has come back out on track after setting the fastest time previously, but he's had to abandon his lap time. Unfortunately, Kamara, he's gone and invalidated that lap, so he's coming back into the pit lane now, and that will be him done and dusted for this part of the session. At least he can still get himself back out on track in the next minute or two to be able to complete another lap though. Has same for reflection as well. Unfortunately, coming back into the pits there from an invalid lap there, but he's still up into P6, looking good at the moment. Here comes Dopey Lemons over the bridge again and now round the hairpin. I've completely missed the comments there as well. So Evening All says Serious Mushroom as well. Is it wet yet? It doesn't look wet yet. Dopey Lemons has abandoned his time there. I think we had a problem as I was again looking at the comment section, so rather than looking at the screen and what's going on. But there we go. Unfortunate scenes. So just have a look at Brabbit there, because Brabbit hopefully is looking to complete this lap on the soft compound tyres. So it gives you something to watch anyway. Car feels good, says Zealous as well. Dry throughout the session, says Zealous as well. So that is it. It's going to be a dry race supposedly for this Singapore Grand Prix here in Silver tonight. So good stuff indeed. We want rain, says Serious Mushroom, so that's very nice indeed. It's going to rain at Silver, says Ginger Age as well. Well, apparently not, which is good in my cards, or on my cards, or in my eyes. Brabbit there unfortunately has his invalidated, so that is not good news there for the Mercedes driver. He needs to improve on his intermediate time that he set at 1 minute 43, and he has had at the pace. He's currently in P4 in the driver's standings. He's a bit of a ways off, unfortunately, for the time being from the top three, but it's been a great sort of second phase or start to the second half of the season for Brabbit. So we're looking forward to seeing what he can do in the next few races. Of course, we've got 7 races coming up after the break as well. And then that'll be it for the season. Of course, we've got quite a few, a jam-packed month and a bit, I suppose you could say, of racing there before we end off the season. But like I said, the break week will come in between next week. So then we'll have a nice little rest next week, and then come back for the last few races for a month and a bit to the end of May, and then we'll be back underway for well, hopefully for the new game 2023 or 2023, isn't it? Yeah. I keep forgetting what game it's going to be, because I'm not sure which dates or which years, because I keep getting them confused with FIFA as well, because FIFA 23 is already out, but FIFA 22, no, F1 2023 is not out yet. That's the one. So good stuff indeed. So hopefully the new season, like I said, will be starting around July time, I suppose it is, depends on when the game comes out on the new game as well. So looking forward to that. I'm hoping they made some changes, let's say, to the game mechanics to make sure the game works a bit better than 2022. But like I said, in the league racing that I've done so far this season, I haven't experienced any issues, touch wood. I've just slapped myself in the face. But there we go. Mr. Elite is on circuit now, coming through sector 3. Let's see what he can do. This is going to be his first, and I think actually his only time that he can set on the board, because they're always almost losing the car there with a bit of a snap there on the exit of the corner there. And yeah, like I said, he's going to be his only time. He's spun again, unfortunately, as Mr. Elite. He's not having a good time there on the circuit, unfortunately, at this stage. And I think that might be his qualifying done and dusted, to be honest, because he's running out of time to get himself back round. And I think now that he's warmed up those tyres a bit too much, I don't think they'll be good enough for another lap, to be honest, unfortunately, for the Red Bull. So he's not going to have to get himself back into the pit lane, and I'm not quite sure if he's going to have enough time to get himself back out of the pit lane to finish off another lap. We'll have to wait and see. He's gone back to the pits now, and he's into the wall again, is Mr. Elite. He's not having a good time out there, unfortunately, for the Red Bull reserve tonight, but fingers crossed he can get that sorted. But Cassell is back out on track. Let's have a look at Cassell, because he needs to set a time on the board as well in this session. He's yet to set a time just yet, as he goes over the bridge once again to complete the I think this is his second flying lap attempt. So let's have a look and see what the Alfa Romeo driver can do. Right then, good luck to everybody from Kaz as well. Of course, Kaz reserving tonight in the Haas. He has not set a time yet for the Haas driver, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to come out of the pit lane or not. He might be a bit too late. The same for Equaz as well. Equaz yet to come out of the pits, and Mr. Elite is back in the pit lane as well. So I'm not quite sure if he's got enough time to get himself out either. So it might be a bit of an odd one that. But here comes Cassell. Let's see what he can do there in the Alfa Romeo. Like I said, he had a bit of a difficult time on his first attempt. Let's see what he can do on his second attempt. No spin this time, as he now comes around the final corner, or penultimate corner there, to cross the line. Let's see what you can do there in the Alfa Romeo. It's up to P4. A fantastic lap time indeed there for the Alfa Romeo driver. He is currently in the P4. He's on the second row of the grid there with a fantastic qualifying lap indeed. He didn't say he was confident, but blimey, that is great stuff indeed there from the Alfa Romeo driver. That is his qualifying done and dusted, I think, because he's not got enough time to get himself back round, and he's unfortunately invalidated this lap as well. So he will be done and dusted with that time of 38.1, but that puts him currently into a great spot indeed. So that is not too shabby at all. V-Todd has retired in the pit lane, I think. So that is V-Todd out of the qualifying session. He's going to be no higher than P13 at this stage of quali. So let's have a wait and see what the rest of the drivers are going to do. Equaz Equaz has stayed in the pit, so Equaz is still in the pit lane. Kaz has got himself out on an outlap, as has Mr. Elite. I'm not quite sure if Mr. Elite is going to have enough time to get to the. We've got a Ferrari. I think it is. No, that is the Alfa Romeo, I think, of Cassell. They're just going a bit slow. No, it's not. It's a Ferrari of Camaro. I think Camaro's having an issue there on his flying lap as well. I think that's Camaro. That may be saying that is his qualifying done and dusted. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully he can get himself back underway. But there we go. Why is everyone so speedy, says Gordo. Well, Gordo, you're currently in the middle back of the grid, which isn't too shabby at all, as we got yellow flags for it's for Brabbit. I think Brabbit is unfortunately invalidated. That is Brabbit done and dusted. He's set one time on the intermediates, and that is him done and dusted. That is him out, as Mr. Elite didn't get to the start finish line, unfortunately, in time there for the Red Bull driver. That is him done and dusted as well. No time on the board for him. Dan Murphy or Equaz, both the Aston Martins, out of qualifying very early on, basically, because of course Dan Murphy didn't set a time and Equaz didn't go in the pit, to come out of the pit lane at all. So that is that. Kaz has got himself onto the circuit to get himself away for another lap. Here comes Dylan there up to the line. What can Dylan do on the soft compound tyres? He's pushing his way through the over the line. He's a 10th down on his time, unfortunately, which is not good enough to improve. Camaro there crawling back to the pit lane as well. So that is Camaro's qualifying done and dusted as well. Same for Reflection, who's invalidated his time here. Danny's in the pit lane as well. Danny's finished, sorry, I should say. So Brabbit is the next driver to come across the line, but again we saw Brabbit has unfortunately invalidated before already. That's Vintage reversing in. Where is he off to? Camaro Racers retired from the pits, from the session. Vintage having an issue there under the stands there in sector 3, but he's got himself back underway. But unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to improve on his time. Reflection retiring it in the pit lane as well. Here comes Winnie. What can Winnie do there? Coming through under the grandstand again. Brabbit again retiring in the pit lane. Here comes Winnie though. What can Winnie do? Can he get himself into the top 10 on his first reserve appearance as well? Let's have a look and see. He's done a great job so far in this qualifying, it looks like, as well. Around the final corner we go. The ERS light is already flashing, so I think that might have been his down on power. Let's have a look as he crosses the line. He's unfortunately half a second down on his time. Puts himself P12 for the time being. Vintage back in the pits there. That is him done and dusted. Here comes Kaz to finalise the qualifying, and he jumps above Zealous there and Brabbit as well. Brabbit, of course, on his intermediate compound tyres. So not a good qualifying there for Brabett. For Zealous, unfortunately, he did have a good first run, and it looked quite good indeed. But I don't know if he got the second run in. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait and see in the comment section. But nonetheless, that is qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix done and dusted. We'll have a rundown of the classification very soon as well. But yeah, an interesting qualifying there. We've seen some drivers there going up the order that we didn't expect, and some drivers unfortunately down the order that we didn't expect as well. So there we go. That is qualifying. So very good stuff indeed from all the drivers there to getting the time on the board as well, or at least the drivers who got the time on the board. Nigel there, the championship leader, is on pole position there for the Singapore Grand Prix. Dylan there in P2 on the front row as well. Good stuff indeed from Dylan, a good time indeed as well. Kamara Racer with a great time as well, I would say, in the Ferrari there. He set a 37.7 very early on, and he has improved there to a 37.3 as well. Good stuff from Kamara. Mumford in P4, good stuff from him. Same for Cassell as well. An unprecedented qualifying after he said that he wasn't going to be confident in this setup. Farf there in P6, Reflection in P7, Dopey Lemons in P8, Danny there in P9, and Gordo makes up your top 10. Just outside the top 10 is Smithy in 11th, Winnie in P12, Vintage P13, VTOD in 14th, Kaz in 15th, and then I think we've got the likes of Zealous, Brabett, Dan Murphy, Equaz, and one other, Mr. Elite, who couldn't get a time in, unfortunately, at the end of the session. But there we go. Then we're ready to get ourselves up and running for the race itself. We're just going to have to wait for the drivers there to get their setup sorted and get the strategy sorted as well. Welcome back from that short interval. We are now ready to get ourselves going for the formation lap for the Singapore Grand Prix. Away goes Nigel there to lead us on the formation lap as well. We'll run down the strategies. As you can see there, the preferred strategy according to the game there is hards to mediums for a one stop. We did also see there's a potential for doing a two stop as well onto the soft compound tyres at the end as well. We'll have to wait and see if any drivers have selected those strategies as well. It's quite a long lap, this one, 31 laps tonight as well. So we're expecting, as Equaz has unfortunately been disqualified from the formation lap. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Equaz there, but fingers crossed he's okay. But we did see him not set a time in qualifying, so hopefully he's awake enough to get himself underway in this race. Otherwise, that might be a disqualification off the start line, which is not good news there for Equaz. But nonetheless, we'll have to go through the order and hope that he can get himself in the race, himself ready for the race itself at the end of this formation lap. On the hard compound tyres is Mr. Elite there from P20 there. Of course, not got a time in there, didn't get a time in, I should say, in the qualifying. Unfortunately was spinning quite a bit as well, so hopefully that doesn't happen in the race for the Red Bull driver. Dan Murphy there in P19 on the medium compound tyres, so looking for a fast start is the Aston Martin. Only one of two on the medium compound tyres. We saw only one driver start on the mediums yesterday, and that was Wesley, who got the driver of the day, to be fair. He started in P16 or 17 I think it was, and got P3 at the end of the gold race, which was a fantastic drive indeed, so go back and watch that one for sure after this race, of course, because Dan Murphy is looking to replicate that in the Aston Martin on the medium compound tyres. Equaz there on the hard compound tyres in P18. Hopefully he is in the race for the start of the race anyway. Brabett there in P17 didn't get a time in, or did get a time in on the intermediates, but not on the actual soft compound tyres that he wanted to qualify on. He is starting on the hards in P17. Prime Zealous is also on the hards in P16, and then we've got Kaz, who's also on the medium compound tyres, one of the two on the mediums. Everybody else on the hard compound tyres from P14, VTOD all the way up there. Vintage in P13, Winnie in P12, Smithy in P11. Just inside the top 10 we've got Gordo there on the hards as well. Danny in P9, Dopey Lemons in P8. So the Alpine's looking to stick to the points for this race. Reflection in P7, Favre in P6, Cassell there with a great qualifying indeed there in P5, Mumford, his teammate for tonight, in P4, Camaro in P3 as well, good stuff from Camaro, and then we've got a really good lap there from Dylan as well to get himself on the front row, but unfortunately he couldn't get himself ahead of Nigel, the championship leader, who is on P1 on pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix. Equaz said he just fell asleep, so hopefully he can take this to the race at least. He's going to have a default setup. He's just said it in the comment section, unfortunately for Equaz. At least he's got himself awake for the race. Hopefully he can negotiate his way through, but he's on a default setup, so hopefully it doesn't go too badly for him. The 5 red lights are on here in Singapore, and the 5 red lights are off in Singapore, and away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix. Nigel gets away well. Dylan has a great start indeed as well. We've got somebody at the back. Kaz has gone back to the back literally, with a bad start unfortunately for the Haas driver there. Through turns 1, 2 and 3 we go. Very nicely done for the top order, it looks like. Here comes Favre trying to get his way through as well, through past Camaro. Mumford's dropped down the place, and unfortunately Cassell's dropped down the order as well. We'll go back to the position changes because that's what I should be looking at really. But up 2 positions there is Favre, up 2 as well for Dopey Lemons. Good stuff indeed. Unfortunately for Cassell, has not been too good. V Todd has retired. V Todd has had a problem there at the back end of turn 5, exit of turn 5, and that is a safety car already. Safety car on lap 1. Unfortunately for V Todd, it seemed like he went off. I think he might have just gone off on his own there, putting the power down a bit too early at the exit of turn 5, which is a big shame there for V Todd. He was down the order unfortunately in his qualifying pace. He was probably looking to improve in his race pace, but unfortunately he is out of this Grand Prix before we finish the first lap. He is out at turn 5, and the safety car is already waiting for the drivers there at the exit of turn 3 and 4. So hopefully they can get themselves around without any incidents on this one. But yeah, an interesting call there. I think there was from what I can tell, but I obviously didn't see it myself. I think the V Todd might have gone off. It's very easy to put the power down on the exit of turn 5 too early and spin the car to the right hand side, and I think that's where V Todd's car probably ended up there on the right hand side of the track there, off the racing line. But it's deemed by Codemasters and by the FIA that it's warranting a safety car. Thankfully it doesn't warrant a red flag that we saw of course quite a few times in the Australian Grand Prix on Sunday morning, but nonetheless I don't think we have that in the game, which is very good indeed. But there we go then. Nigel there taking us round the Singapore Grand Prix for the first lap, and of course they will catch up to the safety car queue. Will anybody take the opportunity now to make a pit stop? I'm not sure if it's the right idea. We'll maybe see Kaz or Dan Murphy come in the pits potentially. They're on the medium compound tyres. Let's have a look further down the order. Will Dan Murphy come in the pit lane? Will Kaz come in the pit lane as well? Nobody coming in as it stands at the moment. Vintage has dropped down 5 places. I'm not sure if Vintage had a difficult start as well, but he's managing to carry on. He's got no damage there on that Haas as well. Good stuff indeed. Unfortunately, the Haas driver is there at the back of the field after V Todd's retirement, which is a big shame there because V Todd, like I said, is a very consistent driver. Unfortunately for him, it just seems like a tiny little bit of extra application on the throttle there, and that sends you off into the distance there, doesn't it? So hopefully V Todd can get himself he can have a nice week off now, can't he? I suppose V Todd can, so he can get himself well rested for the Japanese Grand Prix, which will be in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, fingers crossed that everything was all right there, because I didn't see exactly what happened, but I think it was just as I suspect there, a bit of a eagerness on the throttle, trying to get after the driver ahead, and that usually ends you up with a bit of a spin, doesn't it? So especially on this game, so a bit unfortunate there for V Todd, but hopefully he can get himself, like I said, dusted down and ready for the Japanese Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, with the break week, of course, coming up next week. But what is Brabbit doing down there is a serious mushroom as well. Brabbit unfortunately didn't get a actual lap in the qualifying. He did a lap, I think it was a 1:43 on the intermediate compound tyres, which was about almost 6-7 seconds off the pace in the end, wasn't it? Yeah, Brabbit unfortunately didn't get a lap in on the soft compound tyres. He invalidated twice on 2 sets of soft compound tyres, did Brabbit, and unfortunately only had 1 valid lap, and that was on an intermediate set, even though it was a nice dry qualifying session as well. So a bit of a shame there for Brabbit. Couldn't get a representative time in, but he's got himself up 3 positions there into P14. We'll have to. I think we'll stick on board with the position changes for the time being, because there might be some more position changes at the end of this safety car period. I'm not quite sure if the safety car is coming in this lap or if it's going to carry on. We'll find out. It might give us a quick message very soon. Hopefully it will ping up. I think it's going. Is it coming in or is it going away? We don't know. I think Nigel's very close indeed to the back of the Mercedes to indicate that it's probably not coming in just yet. But that is that. I think that is, yeah, I think it's going to carry on for another lap. Unfortunately, we're going to have to stick around on to lap, or in the beginning of lap 3 that we're going to get the safety car in to restart this race. So just making sure that the hard compound tyres are nice and warmed up is Nigel. Same for Dylan, the same for Kamara and Farf in the background. All the drivers there having a nice little weave down the main straight, just to make sure they keep the temperature in those tyres, and which is vital, of course, because especially on the hard compound tyres, they're the quickest tyre to cool down, because they are the most durable tyre as well. So there we go. Yeah, Fanjo, unfortunately, yeah, he had a last minute, I don't know what it was, a last minute emergency, he said, so he had to leave. Kaz has stepped in at the last minute as well, which is good stuff indeed, to take on the challenge, though, as he is in the pit lane is Kaz. Let's have a look and see what he's going on to. He's gone on to the hard compound tyres, so he has switched there from the mediums to the hards, which is probably a good strategy call here, because he'll be able to catch up to the back of the safety car queue on this lap, and now he has used his mandatory 2 different tyre compounds for a dry race, so he doesn't have to technically pit again. I'm not quite sure if the hards will go to the end from here. I don't think they will. It will be a struggle indeed if you can get them that far, but especially towards the end of the stint it will be very difficult indeed, but it might be a good idea to pit from the medium compound tyres to the hards, because at least then you're on the you're back in the train, aren't you, and then you're on to use both sets of your tyres, so you don't have to worry about what tyre do you need to go on to next, do you, because you can basically choose whatever you want. So there we go, good stuff indeed from Kaz. I think that's probably a wise strategy call there. We'll have to find out how it plays out later on in this race. We're on lap 3 of 31. We had a safety car literally at the beginning of lap 1, turn 5 for V Todd, who unfortunately I think put the power down a bit too early and went off at the exit of turn 5 there on the right hander there, literally on the first lap, just trying to put the power down a bit too early is what I think happened. I'm not quite sure, we didn't quite see, so we'll have to wait and see if it's going to be looked at after the race. But Kaz now trying to catch up to the back of the safety car queue, and we will get ourselves back underway for the restart of this race. So hopefully the safety car will come in this lap. Fingers crossed it will anyway. We're waiting to see, and we'll get ourselves underway for the restart of this race very, very soon. But there we go, good stuff from all drivers. Now we'll hopefully get ourselves some green flag running in the next moment or two. I'm not quite sure what's holding up Kaz, but there we go. He is holding us up. Hopefully the safety car will come in this lap, and we can get ourselves ready for the restart of this race. Doesn't look the lights are off though, I think, aren't they, on the safety? No, they're not. They're coming back on. We've got another lap under safety car, which is quite annoying because we've got a very long lap around here indeed, and Kaz I think was the reason for that. It did look like he caught up to the safety car queue, unfortunately, but for some reason we've decided to stay out once again for safety car, with the safety car lap, so we're going to have to keep going around with the safety car. Hopefully we'll get ourselves another some green flag running very soon, but we've basically done the start of this race under safety car, haven't we? So yeah, a bit of a shame that this has taken us an extra lap there to get ourselves going once again, but I don't think it will help Kaz, unfortunately, because I don't know if that was tactical or not, but I don't think it will help Kaz, unfortunately, get to the end on those hard compound tyres. One extra lap under safety car, I don't think they're going to achieve that 33 laps he'd have to do, almost, or 32 laps he'd have to do under the safety car, unfortunately. So there is that. That is that, I should say. But nonetheless, we'll get ourselves sorted. We'll go around once again, and fingers crossed the safety car will go in this time. And if it doesn't go in this time, I'm hoping that we can shoot the safety car driver so that we can get ourselves underway, because it's taken a bit too long, and we don't want to be stuck behind the safety car anymore. We want to see some actual racing, don't we? So let's have a look and see. Hopefully the safety car lights will pop off at the end of sector 2, and into sector 3 we can get ourselves back underway. We're ready to get back underway anyway. So good stuff indeed. Coop there in the comment section supporting Equaz. Equaz, like I said, didn't have a good qualifying because he fell asleep, didn't he? He said in the comment section a bit further above, he said he fell asleep during qualifying, but he's managed to wake himself up just in time for the race. But he apparently, for Coop there, just a bit of intel, he's on the default setup because of that. So he's going to be having to try and get his way through on a default setup. He's going to be very fast indeed, I would imagine, down the straights, because he's going to have much lower wings than the rest of the drivers. Safety car is finally in this lap, so we'll be ready to get going there. A bit more of a rolling start really than a grid start, to be honest, because like I said, we had a safety car from the end of turn 5 on lap 1, so we didn't really get much of a grid start, to be honest. We got about 3 or 4 corners of it, but nonetheless we're ready to get going once again. And the safety car will peel away back to the pit lane there. Nigel will get us restarted there for the Singapore Grand Prix. And now it's his prerogative when to drop the hammer and when to get going again. Let's have a look and see when he's going to go. He's going to go late, though. It looks like he's still weaving to warm up those tyres. And now he's gone there before we get to the bottom of the corner there. Will there be any spins as we go around the final corner? It's very easy to spin the car. We've got yellow flags already. It is for Mumford. Mumford's had a problem there. We saw going round the final corner. Same for Zealous as well. Zealous is off the circuit also as they spin on those cold hard tyres there to get themselves underway once again. Brabbitt and someone's gone off the circuit there. Gordo's off the circuit at turn 1. He's got himself back underway, thankfully, but unfortunately not quite sure what happened there to Gordo. Winnie and Mr. Elite switching places as well as we go into turn 5 this time. This is where we saw, we think we saw V Todd go off the circuit there with putting his power down too early, but they have got through unscathed, these two. Brabbitt is now putting the pressure on Winnie. Can he get himself up into the points? Brabbitt with a great start, or a great restart as well, to be honest, for the Mercedes drivers, up 6 places as well, but Mr. Elite up 11 places already in this race. What a start indeed from Mr. Elite. He didn't qualify. He tried to qualify, but he had a problem there on his lap as Dan Murphy's got past Brabbitt. Instead, it's going the other way round for Brabbitt. He thought he was going to get past Winnie there, but unfortunately not. Here comes Smithy as well now. Smithy trying to get his nose down the inside into the Singapore Sling section, and it's a very tight part of the track here. Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be much room for too wide, but he's tried to get his nose in there anyway. But Smithy, they're having to stick behind the Mercedes for the time being. Dan Murphy, there on the medium compound tyres, is trying to make moves as quickly as he can there on those fresher and faster medium compound tyres at this stage of the race. That is, he's now up into P11 there. But like I said, Mr. Elite with a great start on this race, in this race, I should say. He was already up 11 places there, and he was started from P20. But I thought we had a spin there, I think, but no, we have got a spin there. Somebody's gone off the circuit. It's Prime Zealous. He's had a problem there at the back end of Sector 2. He's got himself back underway though, falling like flies. Imagine if this was wet. Nobody's falling like flies. They're doing a great job. How rude of Sirius Mushroom to say that Silver is falling like flies. They're doing a great job indeed. But there we go. Equaz has actually gained 4 places even on that default setup, so that's not too bad indeed. Unfortunately, the biggest loser so far is Mumford, who had that spin there at the final corner. Prime Zealous was the same as well. Brabbitt's got himself back past Dan Murphy though. That is not good news for Dan Murphy on his medium strategy, because of course he is on the Contra strategy now. He's the only driver on the Contra strategy as well, with Kaz pitting under the safety car for the hard compound tyres as well. So now the only driver on the mediums, or only driver not on the hards, I should say, is Dan Murphy there on those medium compound tyres in the Aston Martin there. He's currently Brabbitt's getting past Winnie. And Dan Murphy looking to go around the outside here. He's made the move with a fantastic lunge there. Very safe and secure, very clean to be fair, but it was a lunge nonetheless. But a great move from the Aston Martin driver there to get himself up into P11 there now. Can he get himself after Brabbitt? There's a 2-second gap between them and Mr. Elite there. Mr. Elite dropping just off the back of his teammate at the moment. Hopefully he can keep up with that other Red Bull over Reflection. There, Reflection doing a good job as well in the other Red Bull. So like I said, it's becoming a bit of a train. There's a couple of trains forming there. Oh, has Mr. Elite gone a bit too early on the power again on the exit, the hairpin? That has lost him a bit of time there, unfortunately, for the Red Bull driver. He's now within, Brabbitt is now within range there, as the DRS will be activated at the beginning of lap 7 at the end of lap 6, which is this lap. So there we go. So Mr. Elite needs to get himself a bit of a move on now to try and catch up back to his teammate. But like I said, there's a bit of a train forming behind Dopey Lemons. The first 4 drivers have checked out. Dylan is trying to stick with Nigel at this stage. Farfar's got himself up into P3, so it's looking good at the moment for AlphaTauri there with a double podium as it stands. Nigel's the fastest lap of the race there. Dylan has got himself, he stays within DRS range though, which is good news for Dylan. He can try and get himself dragged along, potentially line up a move later on for the lead of this race, or the win of this race. Danny's had a problem there. Danny's dropping down the order of the exit of the final turn as well. He's dropped down to P16. He's got himself back underway. We have another change of position. I think it was Dan Murphy getting past Winnie there into, where's Winnie there? He's up into P10 there. Is Dan Murphy there? Winnie dropping down to P11, unfortunately, for the McLaren reserve, but he's done a great job so far on his first reserve appearance, has Winnie, so hopefully he can stick at it. He's only got about 28 laps to go, but he's done a good job so far. Well, he's got less than that. He's got about 25 laps to go, to be fair. So that's not too bad. There's less. So there we go. But there is Mr. Elite now. He's got himself back up. Well, he's been passed, by Brabbitt. Now, Brabbitt is trying to get himself after Reflection. Now, he's in a bit of a Red Bull sandwich for the time being. But let's see if Brabbitt can close that gap down now to the top 7. Like I said, Dopey Lemons has been passed. Well, he's not been passed just yet. Cassell there is in P6. He's right behind the Alpine here of Dopey Lemons as they go through the old Singapore Sling. And now over the bridge and round the hairpin as well. Kamara Racing needs to try and get himself after the top 3 here, because he's 1.5 seconds behind. He's not got any DRS to play with, but he needs to try and get himself dragged along there in this this part of the race. He is a very quick driver, is Kamara there, but hopefully he can have the consistency in this race as well. Like I said, it's a long old race, this one. So consistency and concentration is very key indeed. Dylan is sticking with that AlphaTauri as best as he can. Unfortunately, he's lagging a bit. Is there a lag there, or is that me? Hopefully it's just me, and it's not Dylan. But hopefully he can try and get himself after the likes of Nigel. Can he get himself back in the DRS zone? He's lost out just about, I think, on the exit on the end of this lap. He's just outside of the DRS range by 1.1 or 1/10, I think it was. But he's now going to try and use the ERS there to get himself back in that range. Here comes Favre. Favre's got DRS on the Williams ahead of him, and that is using that to pull himself along. They're now spreading out a bit the top 4. It seems like the gaps are starting to form there. Nigel there is almost 1 second away, but I think Dylan's done a great job there, just clinging on this lap again. So now you can use that to bring himself back in the into the fray, hopefully as well. Good stuff indeed from Dylan. He's really pushing on that in that Williams car and looking for that win again. He's of course won. I think it was it in the Netherlands, or was it the Belgian Grand Prix? Can't remember now. Sorry, but Dylan there has won already in silver. He's done a great job to get that win, and now he's looking good indeed for potentially another win as well if it goes his way. Dan Murphy has got past Mr. Elite as well on the medium compound tyres. Winnie has dropped down the order. He's being passed by Equaz and Mr. Elite, and now he's being passed by Vintage as well. They're swarming him, it looks like, here in the McLaren there, unfortunately, as Vintage has dropped back behind. Mumford is going for it around the outside here. He's got the move done, has Mumford. I think he just needs to make sure he keeps it clean and tidy. These guys are, of course, reserving tonight, so they don't have any points to play for. They're just fighting for their team, as when he goes wide there at the entry to the Singapore Sling section. And like I said, I think he's been a bit frazzled, I should say, by the number of cars there just swarming all over the back of him. They're trying to get himself past. Vintage is now on the next driver to try and get himself past, but I think Winnie's got some DRS there. Well, he doesn't have DRS, unfortunately. I thought he might have had some DRS there on Mumford to get himself, or to at least protect himself from Vintage, who's now going to be trying to get himself through as well. Winnie, the first driver of the night to get a penalty so far. Danny's dropped down the order. Of course, we saw him have a spin there at the exit of the final corner on the previous couple of laps or so. Nigel there sets the fastest lap of the race as Kaz keeps on going. Zealous there can get himself back in the order with any mistakes for the other drivers. Of course, there's going to be lots of pit stops there still to come in this race. We're only on lap 9 as we've got a yellow flag for Danny. Once again, Danny's off the circuit at the back of the grid. He's had a problem there in the he's had a bit of an issue there, it looks like, in the middle part of the stand complex. He's got himself back underway. He's got wing damage, though, unfortunately. Mr. Elite, I think, has got wing damage as well. He's onto the medium compound tyres. He's had a wing change as well, so Mr. Elite must have had a problem there somewhere in that lap as well. Hopefully it wasn't caused by anybody going into him, but Danny is back in the pit lane as well. Prime Zealous is carrying on, so he's going to gain those 2 places there. Is the McLaren, but Danny there getting serviced as well, having the medium compound tyres whacked onto that car and the front wing change as well. Mumford has got himself past Smithy there up into P11 there, so Mumford recovering nicely there from his spin, and Equaz from P18 with his default setup has got himself up into the points paying positions as well. Great stuff indeed, and Coop, I think, will be happy about that, hopefully. So there we go. And he's not surprised. I think that was an old comment there, but he's not surprised by Equaz, I think, falling asleep during the qualifying session. So hopefully Equaz can surprise him with a good result here tonight, and so far at least getting into the points, I would say, is a pretty good achievement, especially on a default setup around here, and with limited track knowledge with that with the lack of qualifying, I should say, as well, because of course he was having a bit of a nap during the qualifying session, so that is why he didn't take part in the qualifying or the formation lap either. But there we go. Out in front, the gap has now increased there to 2.4 seconds. So unfortunately for Dylan, he's dropped off the back here. That AlphaTauri, he's gone off the track as well there. It looks like he's lagging, I think. So hopefully it's just hopefully it's not a serious issue, and hopefully everyone else can see where he is on track, and it's just maybe it's my end. Hopefully it's just my end anyway, because then at least that means that everybody on track is nice and safe and sound, but as safe and sound as they can be at 200 miles per hour. But there we go. Dylan there 2.5 behind. Then we've got Farf, who's pretty much the same distance behind Dylan as well. Kamara there is trying to get himself back in the DRS zone of Farf to potentially get himself back on the podium as well. Dopey Levens has dropped back. He's 4 seconds behind the top 4 here at this stage. And Cassell, Reflection and Brabbit, I think, is going to be joining this battle very soon as well to try and get themselves up into P5 very soon. Dan Murphy is kind of stalled out at the moment. He's in the middle of nowhere at the moment between Brabbitt, who's 2.7 seconds ahead, and Mekwaz, who's his teammate, who's 4 seconds behind. But at the moment, he's doing a good job. They're pushing on there on the medium compound tyres. I think the ERS light is flashing there on that Aston Martin, though, indicating that he's used a lot of energy trying to catch up to the guys ahead. Unfortunately, he's like I said, it's with the DRS, it's a bit of a loss in terms of a situation, because like I said, if you're in the DRS train, you can use the DRS to pull yourself along, and you gain time on the drivers behind you who aren't in DRS, obviously. So I think that's what he's experiencing. Unfortunately, he's losing out to the drivers ahead who have got the DRS there to bring themselves or pull themselves along a bit further compared to down there on the straights there in terms of the speed. It's Brabbitt. Brabbitt's off the circuit. He's into the wall, I should say, actually, but I don't know if there's damage there on that car. I think he might have got away with that, has Brabbitt. We'll have to wait and see if he comes in the pits there on the end of this lap, but it looks like the end plate is okay from my point of view, our point of view. It seems all right. Let's have a look and see what's going to happen next for the Mercedes. Is he going to have to come into the pits? It seems like he's still be able to negotiate through the corners okay. He is losing time, though, to the Red Bull ahead of him with reflection. I'm not sure if there is wing damage there or if he's just trying to recover there from a bit of shock there, trying to get himself out of the wall. He seems to be okay. He's carrying on at this stage, but that is going to be useful insight there for Dan Murphy. He's losing a lot of time there, is Brabbitt, now, unfortunately. So maybe there is some minor damage there, but he's carrying on, trying to power through at this stage of the race, at least, to try and get himself into the window there for the medium compound tyres. But he's going to have to wait another 5-6 laps at least there, I think, to get to the medium compound tyres, unfortunately, for the Mercedes driver. So that might come back to bite him later on in this race. Mumford is putting pressure on Mekwaz there for the final points paying position. Let's have a look and see what Mumford can do. Can he use the DRS to get himself past? But I think that Aston Martin, on the straight line speed, based on the default setup as well, it's going to be a lot lower wings than the setups that I think the rest of the drivers are going to be running. So I think he's going to be using that as basically an extra bit of DRS there to keep himself away from the Alfa Romeo driver. But there we go. Brabbitt's okay. It says Serious Mushroom will shake it off, so that is good stuff indeed. Danny there sets the fastest lap of the race, of course, having made his pit stop there onto the medium compound tyres after having 2 spins. Unfortunately, so far this race, fingers crossed he can get himself back underway. The only drivers who pitted for unscheduled stops, I would say, are Mr. Elite and Danny themselves onto the medium compound tyres from the hards. So they will be having to pit again, I would imagine, because I don't think they'll be able to get those medium compound tyres to the end of the race unless they want to give it a shout. They give it a try. I'm sure they can, but like I said, I think it might be a bit difficult, to be fair. Brabbitt, I think, is struggling with something because he's down. He's lost about half a second there on this lap compared to the previous lap. So he was about 1.5 seconds behind. He's now at almost 2 seconds behind. So I think there might be an issue there for the Mercedes driver. Fingers crossed, it is not a serious issue. And like I said, I think it might be that tap with the wall might have maybe it might have knocked a sensor out of place or something like that, because it doesn't look like there's any wing damage, but it might have knocked the sensor out of place, which they're trying to deal with in the garage and on that steering wheel there for Brabbitt as well. But he's currently up into P8 there. He did start down the order in P17, I think it was, after a bit of a disappointing qualifying. Cassell is off the circuit at the same place we saw V Todd. He's got no front wing. He's got and a safety car has been called out for that as well. That is a well, I'm not sure if that warrants a safety car for sure. I'm not quite sure where the front wing has ended up. It's ended up actually off the racing line. I can see it there by the wall itself, and I'm not quite sure that warrants a safety car, but there we go. It has been called out there as the safety car, and that is a very interesting strategy call there indeed for some as well, especially the likes of Dan Murphy. You might be able to go to the hard compound tyres to the end of this race as well. Potentially, we'll have to wait and see. But into the pits comes Mr. Elite and Zealous as well. So Zealous is coming to the pits as well. Mr. Elite goes back onto the hard compound tyres, but they're 8-lap-old hard compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure they'll be able to get to the end of the race from here. It's a bit of an odd strategy call here, because I don't think switching to the medium compound tyres for the majority of the drivers from the hard compound tyres will actually be able to get them to the end of the race, which is very interesting indeed. Cassell there with front wing damage is limping his way back to the pit lane as well. Mekwaz has been caught up behind, as has Mumford as well, but they've got to make sure that they don't go into the back of Cassell as well, which is will be even more of a serious issue there as well under the safety car. But there we go. Cassell trying to get his way back to the pits as it stands at the moment. Mumford, it seems, very keen to try and get himself past, but he's going to have to wait for his teammate, because his teammate is struggling to get himself round the order with that completely missing front wing. So there we go. Into the pits comes the race leaders. The race leaders are in, as is both the AlphaTauris, double stacking here as well, as Nigel's in the pit lane. Dylan is in the pits as well for the Williams team. Farf in the pit lane as well, so he's he's backed off a bit. I think he's lost out some time there to Nigel there, so he has limited the time loss indeed. Kamara though does take away that P3. He's back on the podium now, is Kamara. Good stuff indeed. Dopey Lemons now on the medium compound tyres. It looks like everyone's going onto the medium compound tyres, apart from Dan, of course, who's switching off to onto the hards. He will be a bit slower on the start, because Kaz there carrying on at this stage of the race, it looks like. So he's going to be trying to get himself up the order, it looks like, as well as into where's he gone? He's disappeared. He's up into P4, I think. He's got the move. He's done the move, made the move, I should say, up into P4 as Kaz, as there's more pit activity down the order as well. So, like I said, a lot of drivers going on to the medium compound tyres. I'm not quite sure if that is going to be the right strategy call, because I'm not quite sure if the medium is going to get to the end of this race from this stage. Dan needs to pit. Says Serious Rushman. He has pitted there. He stays. Well, he's got himself up into P8 there, I think, with the wing change there for Cassell as well. So down up into P8 now on the hard compound tyres. Kaz is on the hards as well, but he's done 10 laps on the hards, which is when we had the first safety car there for VTOD. Exactly the same place. So it's like Cassell there and VTOD there. Unfortunately for VTOD, it resulted in him being out of this race. Cassell's had to make a wing change under this safety car, but unfortunately at the same place, same time as Mr. Elite has left the session. Hopefully he can get himself back in. He is down the order, but he has just made his pit stop as well onto the hard compound tyres that were previously used for the Red Bull driver. But like I said, hopefully he can get himself back into the session. But fingers crossed somebody can send him an invite if they're in the lobby. But yeah, so hopefully we'll be back underway very soon. But we've got a few drivers there to catch up to the safety car queue first. But at the same time, medium compound tyres to the end of this race, they've got to do, what have they got to do exactly? They've got to do 17, 18 laps. I'm not quite sure if that will be, well, they'll definitely be, I think they might be achievable, to be fair. I think you can probably push them to 16 laps or so, but they will be very, very worn out by the time they get to that 16th lap. So I'm not quite sure if that's going to work out in their favour or not. We'll have to wait and see. They'll be very good indeed off the race start. So Farf, Dopey Lemons there and Reflection, who are behind Kaz. Kaz is going to be under pressure immediately from the racing safety car restart. But there we go, and I'm not quite sure. Into the pits, I think, goes Kaz. Kaz is coming in the pit lane. He is, so he's called it a day already on those hards. He decided that he doesn't want to get in the way of anybody, which is very good stuff indeed. I think for Kaz, he's got himself back to the pit lane indeed, and now I think maybe just trying to extend that stint on the hard to potentially go to the mediums instead, and then that way he can have an extra lap of life in those medium compound tyres towards the end of this race, which I think might be vital, to be honest, because there is going to be a lot of people, I think, trying to push those tyres to the very end, and it's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, getting those tyres to the end as well. But nonetheless, we'll crack on. Mr. Elite is not in the session. He needs to get himself back in the car. Zealous has gone through as well, so he's got himself past Kaz. Kaz now down into P18 there. We're waiting for Danny. Danny's coming down the main straight now on the hard compound tyres as well. So Danny trying to get himself back to the end of the train, I should say. But there we go. Struggling, says Equaz. He's struggling. Not too bad at the moment. He's up into P9 as Equaz, so it's looking pretty good there from P18. I think it was on the grid. So he's halved his grid position there, up into the points paying positions now as Equaz. Which is good news. The extra good news, I suppose, for Equaz is that his rival for P2 in the championship is Fanjo, and Fanjo they're not racing tonight, which means that he can't get any points tonight, unfortunately for Fanjo, which works out logistically, because obviously if he's not in the race he can't get any points. But Equaz there will, at least if he stays in the points paying positions, will be able to gain some points on his rival there for P2 in the championship. I think Nigel there is currently increasing his championship lead, obviously with the race lead over Equaz, who's currently in P2 in the championship as well. So we'll have to wait and see who's going to be doing what and when we're going to be doing what as well. Safety car is in this lap, so safety car was a very quick one this time. We're on to we're going to be restarting on the beginning of lap 15, which means we've got 17 laps to go, haven't we? So can these medium compound tyres that have already done one lap behind the safety car, can they get themselves around, or 2 laps behind the safety car now? Can they get themselves another 17 laps around this circuit without popping? We'll have to wait and see. I think there might be some strategy calls that come into play here. Some drivers might pit and some drivers might try and stick it out to the end, and that'll be when it gets a bit treacherous, I would imagine. So let's have a look and see how it's going to play out there. The safety car is just getting himself back to the pit lane, as Nigel there once again is the de facto safety car leader. we'll be getting ourselves back underway very, very soon indeed. It's up to Nigel again when he wants to drop the hammer to get ourselves back underway for the second time, and it looks like it's going to be another late call there from the AlphaTauri driver as we go round to start the lap, or start the end of the lap of lap 14 and start lap 15. Off we go then for the restart here, and Farf is being pushed there by Kamara. Kamara getting his elbows out, and into turn one we go. Always contact. Farf has been passed there by Dopey Lemons there. I think Dopey's got himself through. No, he hasn't. Farf has dropped back. He's got placed back as Farf, so Farf back up into P4. But I think there was a bit of contact between Farf and Kamara there to get themselves up the order. Everyone else has got through unscathed. It looks like, unfortunately, a penalty there for Zealous there, but he's got himself underway and back through. We did see him spin at the first safety car restart, didn't we? Which is good that he didn't do that this time. But now up into P9 we go with Equaz. He's trying to put the pressure on the Mercedes of Brabham, who's now in the Aston Martin sandwich. Dan Murphy on the hard compound tyres. Probably go down the order. Mumford's getting past Vintage there. Mumford is trying to go around the outside again. This time on the Haas, and he's got the move done up into P14. Good stuff indeed. Winnie's got a penalty there with Winnie and Cassell. Cassell's got himself. I think he was getting him out of shape there, wasn't he? But he's managed to regain the corner, and he got himself back underway. Winnie there over the curbs, and that has cost him a bit of time there. Cassell trying to go down the inside of Smithy, but no moves made in the hairpin just yet anyway. But everyone seems to be A-OK for the time being. Smithy there is putting the pressure on the Aston Martin of Equaz. Equaz, I think, struggling there, of course. Any of the complexes of lots of corners is where he's going to struggle the most, of course, because he's got a default setup on, and that is going to be much more catered around this circuit anyway to a straight line speed rather than the other way around. As out in front, they've got a gap of 1.5 seconds already. Nigel is checking out in the distance in this lap. He's used a lot of ERS there to get himself that gap already, but up into the 1 minute 40s is the fastest lap now. Great stuff indeed there from Nigel to get himself as far away as possible at this stage. Tomorrow they're going to try and stick with Dylan as well. Dylan's on for a good result here potentially. Like I said, he is saving some of the tyres, saving some of the energies, Dylan, to get himself to the end of this stint without having to pit again. Potentially Nigel, wearing out those tyres, trying to push too hard at the beginning of the stint might cost him later on in this race. We'll have to find out how it all plays out. There is still going to be some interesting strategies, I think, coming up in this race as well, because I think we're going to have a few drivers there on those medium compound tyres struggling towards the end. Around lap 26, 27, I think, is when we're going to see the medium compound tyres completely drop off. Dan Murphy on the hard compound tyres might be able to get himself through the order in the latter stages of this race. I think we'll find that those tyres might be coming into play as Mr. Elite's been passed. There's Ghost. Unfortunately, Mr. Elite's not back in the car. Danny has got himself back past Mr. Elite there for P18 in this race. Unfortunately for Danny and Mr. Elite, they're not having a good race at this stage, but they might come back in their favour, let's say, later on. Let's have a look and hope that is the case for those two drivers. Hopefully he can get himself back in the race as well. Brabham has been passed. Brabham has been passed by Equaz now. Equaz up into P8 and Dan Murphy up into P7 now on the hard combat tyres. Down the inside goes Smithy. He's trying to poke his nose down, and that might open the door for Cassell as well into sector 3. We go. No moves being made between the two, and the Alfa Romeo sticks in behind the Williams at this stage. Smithy up in the points now. Good stuff indeed from the Williams driver, but look, having a look there on Brabham, and I think that might have almost opened the door there for the Mercedes of for the Alfa Romeo of Cassell as well. Favre picks up a penalty as well. That is the third, or that's the fourth penalty now, because we see Winnie, Prime Zealous and Kaz. Those are the three drivers. They're all reserve drivers as well. Have got a penalty, but the only driver who's not a reserve driver is Favre here, who's got this penalty as well. So 3 seconds there for all the drivers there with penalties, unfortunately. That will be added on to their race time at the end of this race, which is not good news there, especially if it's a close finish, because they drop down the order by quite a few positions. But we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Can Dan Murphy get himself in the way? Can he get himself past? I think Equaz is looking to make a move here on his teammate, and that might open the door now for Equaz to try and check out in the distance. He's got himself up into P7, and that is a good move indeed there for Equaz. I think on the medium compact tyres he's a bit faster than Dan at this stage of the race, that is. Of course, we expect Mr. Elite is back in the session, thankfully, as Kaz and Zealous are switching places as well. Mumford is dropping down the order. He's being passed by Gordo. Now they go up. It's going to be tight indeed if you're going to go around the outside there. He's made the move, has Mumford. He's got the move done, I think, just about. He has got the position there. There's Mumford, good stuff indeed. But like I was saying, I don't think like I said, the mediums will be struggling towards the end. And I think Dan might come into favour there towards the end, especially if he can stay with the medium runners for this time being. Equaz has got a bit of a challenge on now. He's got 3.5 seconds to catch up to Reflection, though. That is going to be the difficult part, is trying to keep the gaps low for Dan Murphy to try and get free. Could we see Dan on for a win here potentially if the other drivers have to make a stop? We might see a Dan Murphy Aston Martin win in silver. We'll have to wait and see. And would that be a driver of the day performance from the back of the grid? I would have to say it might be. So I have to leave that up to Sean, of course. Yellow flags for Dylan. Dylan's had a problem there at the penultimate corner. Unfortunately for Dylan, he's off the circuit, and I think he might have reversed into the wall there. And is that going to be wing damage, rear wing damage, I should say, for the Williams driver? He's carrying on. He's got himself back underway. He's dropped down to P7, though. It's not too bad for Dylan. He's still in the points, and good points indeed as well. 6 points indeed for P7. But hopefully he can get himself back underway. He has got himself underway, and he looks like he's got himself going very quickly indeed, keeping up with Equaz, and going to keep within the DRS range as well for Equaz as well. So I'm hoping that at least he can get himself back in this race. Now Dan Murphy is under pressure from Brabbit. Brabbit, as Dan Murphy has lost the DRS, here comes Brabbit now. DRS not available for the Aston Martin. You can see there. Here comes the Mercedes driver using the ERS, using the battery, using the DRS. He's all the way alongside. He's up into. Oh, is Dan got very late on the brakes there, even though he's on the inside. As Winnie has had a problem there. No, it's not Winnie. It's Mr. Elite. I think Mr. Elite getting back in the car. He's had a problem on the exit of turn 5 as well. It seems like turn 5 is the place to have your incidents. It seems at this stage of the race. Camaro is now, sorry, I've caught my breath. Now, Five Bomb incoming, says Serious Rushman in the comment section, and I think that is what he was talking about with Kamara Racer on that restart. But Kamara is now up into P2 with Dylan's unfortunate error. Well, I didn't see exactly what happened to Dylan. Hopefully he can get himself back underway. He is staying within the range of Equaz though, which is good news because that means that he's not got any damage on that car. He can try and get himself back up the order, and we can see the pace that Dylan has got with in that Williams. Here comes Cassell and the Alfa Romeo of Mumford. They're both battling away in the Alfa Romeo outfit, so there's no team orders it doesn't look like there's any team orders anyway, so it seems like the Alfa Romeos are free to fight for their positions there as well. They're battling just outside the points at the moment, but they are not far away there from the points paying positions as it stands. Cassell there is just under 1 second from Smithy Almighty, who's in P10 for the time being, and like I said, Smithy is right all over the back of Dan. Of course, Dan there on the hard compound tyres, who just lost out to his teammate, and now with Dylan and Brabbit getting through, Brabbit getting through as well, Dylan having his issue, he's now got himself quite a bit of a gap there to try and make up there as Dan. But of course the medium compound tyres are only 6 laps old so far. They will start to drop off in the next 5 laps or so, I would imagine, but we'll have to wait and see who's going to be brave, who's going to try and stick it out, and who's going to try and go for the pit stop to get themselves safe and make sure they don't have any punctures in the last few laps. Because of course, if you do pit, at least you guarantee yourself not being able to get to the end of the race. And of course, if you don't pit, then you have the issue potentially of getting that puncture literally with a lap or a corner even to go, which can be race defining, can't it? Now into the over the bridge again for Kamara Racer. He's doing a great job there up in P2, and credit to him as well, having a great race. Farf there has got his penalty, but he's now clear of Dopey Lemons by over 3 seconds, so that wouldn't affect him if it does finish this way. So that would mean that Farf will carry on, will keep hold of his podium there in P3 for the time being. Dopey Lemons there is doing a great job indeed in this race as well, I'd have to say. Credit to Dopey Lemons. He's had a consistent race indeed after his P2 finish there P3 finish, I think it was, sorry, wasn't it, in Monza. He's looking again potentially for the outside of the podium here as well in Singapore, and not too shabby indeed. Reflection though is very keen on taking that 4th spot away from the Alpine, and it looks like Reflection is on a great bit of form here in this race. He's really pushing that Alpine there through the last few corners, I should say, of sector 3, and now onto the main straight we go to start lap 20 for these two drivers as well. Good stuff indeed. Equaz there, he's maintaining the gap. He's not bringing the gap down, unfortunately, to the drivers ahead. So I'm not quite sure if maybe this is maxed out there for the Equaz, or maybe even he's conserving the tyres there to try and get him to the end of this race. We'll have to find out if that is probably the case. I'd imagine there's a few drivers at this stage of the race now trying to get those tyres cooled down, make sure they get to the end of the race there for this stage, because of course they've still got another 12 laps to go. Dopey Lemons and Reflection though switching places there. Up into P4 goes the Red Bull, and the Alpine of Dopey Lemons switching places there down into P5 for the time being, that is. I'm sure Dopey Lemons will try and get the move back there and get that position back as soon as he can there in the next DRS zone. Down the order there, unfortunately, Dylan couldn't get past Equaz again. I think they're going to be struggling to get past that Aston Martin with the straight line speed that Equaz has got on that deep one, the lower wings, I should say, because it's not going to be. It was Dan Murphy's left the session. That is not good news for Dan Murphy. Hopefully, he can get himself back in as soon as possible. But yeah, unfortunately for Dan Murphy, that is very bad news indeed, because he's on the only driver now on the hard compound tyres, looking like he might be able to get himself some good points indeed if the other drivers around him have to pit as well, that is. But now he's going to be under pressure from the Smithy Almighty. Can he get himself back in the session? I'm not quite sure. Hopefully he can get an invite off of somebody like Farf, who is of course racing up in P3 and is very comfortable indeed, so he can send an invite to anybody if anybody drops out, that is. Dan Murphy is back in the session at least, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to be back in the car in time there to resume ahead of Smithy. He's been passed by Smithy now, but will the Alfa Romeos be able to get through as well? I'm not quite sure if that is going to be good news or bad news for Dan Murphy. We'll have to wait and see until he gets into the car, but we'll come back to that one as well. As we can see, the gap out the front is now 4.5 seconds, so Nigel is really pushing on. I think potentially Nigel might have a gap there to pit into as down the order goes. Dan Murphy's been passed by Winnie as well. He's in the car, or he's dropped down all the way to past Gordo there, and now he's going to be under pressure from Vintage as well. Vintage there getting past into turn one. Dan Murphy there, I think, trying to regain control of the car. It seems like it's been a bit dodgy there for Dan. Diggis is back in the comments as well, saying hello to everybody as well. Thank you very much for your comment, Diggis, as well. Welcome to the stream, and welcome along. I'm sure supporting Equaz in every capacity. I don't know if you've heard about Equaz this race, but he's on a default setup for this race after falling asleep in the whole of qualifying. So there is your update on Equaz. He's currently holding up Dylan, I think. Brabbit has joined the party as well now. So it could be a bit of a scary time there for Equaz there with the likes of Dylan and Brabbit, two very fast drivers there looming in the rear view mirrors there of the Aston Martin very soon. But there we go. My name is not Sean, unfortunately, Diggis. It's Alex. But there you go. So nonetheless, I'm sure he's your preferred commentator. He's my preferred commentator as well out of the two of us. But there we go. Dylan now coming down the back straight towards sector 3. Now can he get himself up into P6, I should say? But no moves being made, unfortunately. Equaz now trying to bring that gap down. He's brought the gap down very quickly, actually, to Dopey Lemons. Now Dopey Lemons being passed by Reflection, and now has lost out of that DRS range. He's now 1.6 behind the Red Bull, and it looks like the same sort of gap there between Dopey and the Aston Martin that's going to be trying to catch up to him in the background there. You can see coming around as Farf picks up another penalty. That is bad news indeed for Farf. That is 6 seconds of penalties, I think, for Farf. Yes, it is. It's 6 for Farf. It's 3 for Winnie. It's 3 for Kaz, and it's 3 for Zealous as well. That is not good news, because that will be added onto their race time, of course, when they cross the checkered flag, or cross the finish line at the checkered flag, that is. If I can get my words out there. Dylan now trying to get himself past the Aston Martin once again. Again, I think they're a bit stuck behind the Aston Martin at this stage. Equaz doing a great job there with that default setup, even though he's struggling. I think he's having a great time in that car. He's up into P6, and now he's trying to hold on to the P6 for the time being. He's actually almost catching up to P5 at the moment in some stages of this race. So let's have a look and see if that could be on the cards there for the Aston Martin driver. But Dylan will have something to say about that, won't he? Because of course he wants to go a bit further up the order than that. The same for Brabbit as well. Yellow flags in the background. Yellow flags for Mr. Elite. Mr. Elite's had a problem coming through the stand complex of Sector 3, and he's got himself back underway. Zealous is back in the pit lane, and I think that might be the right call there from Zealous, because I think he can definitely go to the end from now on those medium compound tyres. Will that trigger any pit stops there for the rest of the grid? We might see some, if we see some good times there from Zealous, I think we might start to see some other drivers think about putting onto another set of medium compound tyres potentially, or even we might see the soft compound tyres in the latter part of this race. I think we can only really get about 4 or 5 laps out of the soft, can't you? So it would have to be a very late call indeed, but they'll be very, very quick indeed when they do go, if they do go onto those soft compound tyres. Kamara, they're drifting around the stand section. He's got himself back underway, which is good news. West Country. I'm not from the West Country. Don't you dare insult me like that. That's horrible. I'm only joking, Diggis, if you can't tell. But of course, yeah, I'm not from the West Country, but Sean definitely is. So he's from the forest of Dean, which I'll tell you all about tomorrow night. Bronze over yellow flags because Smithy Almighty's had a problem. The same corner we saw Mr. Elite have a problem in qualifying. He's off the circuit. Is Smithy? Then he's back in the pit lane as well, going very slowly as well. I'm not quite sure if there's damage there. I think there is damage there on the left end plate there for the Williams driver. Unfortunately, is back in the pit lane. As same thing. I think Mr. Elite's had a problem as well. He's yellow flags at the back of the grid, the back of the order here, I should say. He's got himself back underway. but unfortunately, there we go. He's unfortunately having an issue there, but he's got himself underway again. Kaz and Smithy back in the pits. So again, is this going to spring some more pit stops? I think we saw Zealous there with a good call. Onto the soft compound tyres goes Kaz. That's way too early, I would imagine. On those soft compound tyres, I would expect them to even pop at the before they get to lap 30. But nonetheless, he's on the soft compound tyres, and we'll see what he can do now on those red-walled soft compounds. And let's have a look. He's going to be very fast indeed, but will he be able to get to the end? Is the other question. And that's the problem. Is making sure you get to the end of the race is the most important part. But there you go. Mr. Elite's carried on. He's managing to get himself back underway. And like I said, hopefully he can cool those tyres down and get himself back in the order very soon indeed as well. There's still going to be, I think there's still going to be some pit stops here. I think we might see some more changes around the order. We'll have to wait and see. Nigel there has got almost a 7-second gap there to P2, Kamara Racer. Kamara doing a good job there. He just needs to make sure he keeps it calm and collected. Farf has got his penalties, so he doesn't have to worry about Farf too much because he's got 6 seconds penalties as Farf, which will be added on to his race time at the end. Reflection is he's been caught up by Dopey Lemons. So maybe Dopey Lemons was just having a bit of a tyre saving phase. He got passed by Reflection, but now he's almost back in that 1 second window. Equaz is trying to catch up. We've got yellow flags down the order. Yellow flags for Gordo. Gordo's off the circuit, unfortunately. He slammed into the wall there with that rear right tyre. He's got himself back underway, but that is not good news there for Gordo. Unfortunately, Danny's going to try and get himself past here as well. Is Gordo going back into the pit lane? He's going back into the pit lane indeed. So I think maybe those tyres as well are done and dusted there for the Alpine driver as well. Yellow flags once again for Mr. Elite. Mr. Elite is off the circuit again. Is that going to? Hopefully that's not a safety car for the yellow flags, because he's lost the wing. He's lost the end plate, I should say. Gordo is in the pit lane for the soft compound tyres indeed. So again, on the soft compound tyres, will they get to the end is the question, I think, because they're going to have to do quite a few laps, as he's going to be a bit slow coming out the pit lane as well. Unfortunately, Gordo. He has got himself back underway, but there we go. As Mr. Elite is retired from the session, he's on the track as well, and that could be a safety car. That is a safety car, and that is a bit of a needless safety car indeed. Hopefully, Mr. Elite didn't cause that on purpose, as that is not good news at all for the rest of the drivers there on the grid. Gordo's coming out of the pit lane. He is going to be, we're going to have to try and get himself past the safety car here, but hopefully the safety car gets out of the way for him. Yeah, he just needs to drive past there, Gordo. Good stuff. So now Zealous is back in the pits, but I think that might be a bad call. If Nigel decides to carry on, he might get lapped by the race leader here for Zealous. Nigel there, is he going to come in the pits or is he going to carry on? He's coming in the pit lane, it looks like. It is a pit stop there for the race leader, so he's going to be onto the soft compound tyres. So that is going to be very spicy indeed there. It's, as Serious Mushroom has just said. Where will he come out, and will any other drivers stay out as well? We'll have to wait and see. It looks like Kamara is coming in the pit lane as well, as is Farf. Where is Reflection? Reflection coming in as well. Dopey Lemon's coming in. It looks like everyone's coming in apart from Dylan. Dylan's staying out here, and Dylan, I think, will take the lead of this race. He will take the lead of this race. Maybe a great call there from Dylan as well. Potentially, we'll have to find out. Of course, the safety car queue will have to be bunched up, so there might be a few more laps to go. So potentially those softs will still be in a good frame of mind, I would say that, and when they get themselves restarted in this race. Nigel's come back out on medium compound tyres as Dan Murphy gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not good news there for Dan, unfortunately, but nonetheless, as Big Shane there, Father's got his 6-second penalty as well. But onto the soft compound tyres as everybody else. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure if there's an error there or whether it is strategy call there, but Nigel on the medium compound tyres, as is Dopey Lemons, as is Brabhit and Cassell as well. So that is an interesting way to go. We'll have to find out which one's going to be the best option, won't we? As this race does unfold, I think we're going to be on lap 27 by the time we get going, because we have to get everybody caught up to the safety car queue. Zealous has pitted, of course. Out of the pit lane goes Vintage, as Smithy is carrying on there on these medium compound tyres. They're only 2 laps old though, so it's not too bad. Kaz is back in the pit lane as well, onto another set of soft compound tyres, I think. He's got quite a big gap there behind him to Zealous in the McLaren, so he's got plenty of time to get himself back out the pits as well. But when we get ourselves back underway, we'll have to wait and see how long we've got left of this race. We're on lap 25. Zealous is on lap 24. He's just finishing lap 24 to start lap 25. When will he catch up to the safety car queue? I think it will be the end of lap 26, won't it? So, well, potentially lap 27 even. So we'll have, what was that, 28, 29, 13, 31, 4 laps of green flag running to the end. Potentially 5 laps if we can get ourselves restarted at the end of lap 26. So we'll have to wait and see when the safety car decides to to come in, but it's going to be a 5-lapper, basically a 5-lap shootout, it seems. So hopefully the drivers can keep it nice and calm and clean, but we'll have to find out how that's going to play out, that is. But there we go. Hope everything will be okay, says Diggis. Me too. I'm really praying that it's not a carnage. Not a well, I don't want to say the word. It's a very rude word, but an S show after the restart on this one. But we've seen better restarts there from ALR than we've seen in real life Grand Prix racing, which we saw on Sunday anyway. So I'm sure it'll be much better indeed from the Silver guys than it is in real life. Put it that way. So yeah, good stuff from all the Silver guys know what they're doing, don't they? So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. We have just got the McLaren there and the Haas of Kaz and Zealous to catch up to the safety car queue, and then we'll be back underway for the restart of the race. Dan is back in the pit lane, I think, to serve that 5-second penalty, so at least it's been taken off his time. At the restart of this race, he's going to drop behind Gordo, and I think potentially behind Kaz as well if Kaz gets a move on. But yeah, then I think that'll be it. As that is all the pit stops there done and dusted. I think for the all the scheduled stops now. I think the mechanics there will be done and dusted. They'll be packing everything away now, as they don't want their drivers to be coming back in the pit lane anytime soon. Anyway, there we go. Until the end of lap 31, that is. But there we go. Good stuff indeed. Right then, like I said, it's Kaz, Dan Murphy and Zealous there to catch up to the queue, and we can get ourselves back underway for this Singapore Grand Prix. Like I said, we're just waiting. Unfortunately for VTOD, he retired on lap 1 at turn 5 with a big smash. I think it was on his own as well. He was basically, as what's happened here, Kaz is off the circuit, and Dan Murphy's gone through there to take that P16. But like I was saying, VTOD there have retired there on lap 1 at turn 5, literally only after the first few corners, and I think he went around that right-hand turn there that we've seen before the DRS straight, and put the power down slightly too early and spun the car into a wall, and unfortunately that cost him his place in this race, which is a big shame there. And then we just saw Mr. Elite. I'm not quite sure what happened to Mr. Elite. We saw it on the mini-map, but yeah, hopefully he didn't have any front wing at one point, didn't he? So hopefully, I think it was just because he trying to go around the corner a bit too fast, and there was a wall there, as there is in Singapore. So there we go. Doesn't look like the safety car's coming in this lap, because Zealous has not caught up to the queue quickly enough. The same for Kaz as well. So I think we're going to have one more lap of safety car lappage, which will be 27 now, lap of 27. So we'll be at end of lap 27. We'll be hoping the safety car comes in, which will mean we've got lap 28, 29, 30 and 31, 4 laps of green flag running once the safety car comes in at the end of the next lap. So hopefully Zealous can get a move on and catch up to the safety car queue before the safety car comes in, because I think it will come in as default anyway at the end of this lap 27 to get ourselves back underway for green flag running regardless. So let's have a look and see. We'll have to wait one more lap, unfortunately, and then we'll be able to get ourselves back underway for the Singapore Grand Prix. Hopefully it's going to be a lot better than the 2 laps we had under the red flag there in Australia, put it that way. So we'll have to find out. But like I was saying earlier, the Silver guys know exactly what they're doing compared to the real life F1 drivers who obviously don't. So there we go. That's my comment. So. Nigel is right to pick the mediums, says Mushroom as well in the comments, so he thinks that the mediums are the best tyre to go on to. I'm not quite sure if did that factor in the safety car, or the number of laps behind the safety car though, because we've done 2 laps behind, or 3 laps by the end of this lap behind the safety car. And because of course the queue itself, the train itself, took a while to bunch up, because we had quite a few drivers there spotted all over the place, didn't we? So that is why it took so long to bunch up the queue. So did that factor in the safety car queue? Because they've done 3 laps under the safety car on soft compound tyres, which won't have given them much wear on those tyres at all. Will they be able to do 4 more laps at race pace there to get themselves to the end? I think they might, and I think they'll be very quick on those soft compound tyres as well. So does that mean that there's Nigel, Dopey Lemons there, Brabbit, Cassell and Smithy Almighty on the medium compound tyres might have a few issues with those soft runners around them? I think they might. We'll have to find out, as the safety car hopefully will be peeling away into the pits at the end of this lap. Dylan there on 14-lap-old, or soon to be 15-lap-old medium compound tyres, is looking for his 2nd race win of the season. but everyone behind him is on much fresher tyres. Will he be able to hold on to that race lead? Of course it is. Even with the DRS zones, it's quite difficult to overtake around this circuit, isn't it, as we found out last night as well. So we'll have to wait and see if it's going to be the optimum strategy to stay out here for Dylan. He might have called it very good, very right indeed. As the Williams driver, we'll have to find out. We're going to have 4 laps of green flag running at the end of lap 27, 28, 29. 30 and 31 will be our green flag laps. Let's have a look and see how it's going to unfold as the safety car now is getting itself back into the pit lane, and so we can get ourselves back underway for the restart of this race now, I think. So Dylan will be the driver to decide when we get ourselves going. And here we go then for the restart of the Singapore Grand Prix. On to lap 28 we go. 4 laps of green flag running. Nigel all over the back of the Williams here as well as he goes down the main straight. It's going to be a move into turn 1, is it, for Nigel? He's already alongside into turn 1. No moves being made there. Dylan has to be aware of that AlphaTauri there as he comes through turn 1, 2 and 3. He's made the move already as it down the inside goes Nigel for yellow flag. Yellow flags for Reflection. Reflection's had a spin there, I think, on the soft compound tyres. There's issues there. Down at the back at the front. Let's go to the front. Down the front. Up at the front, I should say. Nigel's made the move. He's up into P1, but here comes Camaro Racer. Camaro Racer looking for a double move. Is he down into turn 6, I should say. He's made the move past Dylan. He's up into P2. He's back up into P2. Farf all over the back now of Dylan as well, with the putting the pressure on those soft compound tyres into turns 7 and 8 as well. Camaro's got himself after Nigel now as well. Nigel's under pressure. Dylan is under pressure as well. Here comes Farf down around the outside, I should say. Was being a bit of contact between the two of them. Now Equaz is going through as well. Farf has been caught up in that battle as well. Farf has been spun around and away he goes down the order, unfortunately for Farf. Dylan has been passed by Brabbit as well. Brabbit on the medium compound tyres as well. He's got himself up into P4 here, but Dylan there, I think, on those older medium compound tyres was fighting tooth and nail for those places as well. Mumford up into P5, getting past Dylan. Unfortunately for Dylan, it's not going the way he wanted it to be. Unfortunately for him, he's dropping down the order. Dopey Lemons now is next to try and lamp a move. Reflection's got a 3-second penalty there with his spin there on the exit of turn 3. It was a difficult first opening corners, couple of corners there for Reflection. It looks like as well Farf is down the order at the back of the grid. I think he's going to have to pit and go for the fastest lap point if he wants to get any points in this race. Unfortunately, his Prime Zealous has left the session. He's out of this. He's not out of this race. He's down the back of the race. Unfortunately, for Zealous, he's out of the car. Unfortunately, Camaro Racer's got a 1.4 second gap to bring down towards Nigel. Can he get the race lead? 4 laps on those soft compound tyres. Yellow flags for Dylan. Yellow flags for Dylan. Dylan's off the circuit at the back of the order. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. He's off the circuit completely, and now he has no front wing. I think he's lost. No, he's not. He's lost. No, he hasn't lost his front wing. He's okay. He can carry on. Gordo and Smithy have been switching places. Smithy up into P10 there, into the points paying positions. Farf and Vintage switching places as well. Like I was saying, Farf has got his penalties as well. They're going to be added on to his race time. If he can hear me, I would just say pit for the soft compounds and go for fastest lap point. Kamara's picked up a penalty. That is bad news for Kamara. Equaz could be on for a P2 in this race after starting at the back of the grid. That could be a magnificent race indeed for Equaz after the troubles that he had in qualifying and being on a default setup as well compared to the other drivers around him who have got their setups optimised there for this track as well. Great stuff indeed from Equaz if he can hold on to it. That is good news indeed. Brabbit in range as well of Camaro. If he can stay within that 3 seconds, could potentially get himself another podium after getting his first race win of the season in Italy last week out as well. Good stuff indeed. And Mumford there with the reserve appearance there, sticking with Brabbit as well. Good stuff from Mumford. Dopey Lemons as well in the range. Cassell, even though he said that he didn't have a good setup, is in the points paying positions, which is not bad at all. Danny as well has got himself back in the points after having a horrible first half of this race. He's back up into P8. Good stuff indeed. Winnie as well on his first reserve appearance is up in the points, as is Smithy as well. Gordo there is on the brink of the points, and I think with the penalties for Winnie, he could get himself up into P10. Potentially some points on the board there for the Alpine driver. Can stick with the drivers ahead of him. He could get himself back in the points. Let's have a look and see. Hopefully for Gordo, he can hold on to this one. Reflection has got himself past Zealous. I'm not sure what happened to Reflection though. He dropped down the order. Dylan there as well is trying to get himself back round. I think he's got some damage. No, he hasn't got damage. I'm not quite sure what's going on for Dylan. Hopefully he can get himself back to the pit lane and get on a set of soft compound tyres to the end of this race to get the fastest lap point. They have got lap 31 to go. to go for that fastest lap to get the final point, or the available point there for fastest lap there on the very last lap as well. Let's have a look and see any moves going to be made there onto lap 30. We've got DRS available now as well. We didn't see that pop up, but it is available now on this penultimate lap for all the drivers there. 2.4 seconds is the gap. Nigel on those medium compound tyres, as Serious Mushroom said, is on the right tyre to be on. He's checking out in the distance, is Nigel, for another race victory. It looks like on the cards. I don't want to jinx him though, as I might have done by now already, so that is terrible news indeed for Nigel if it is a jinx. But it looks like he's comfortable at the moment. He's extending the gap there in the lead to almost 3 seconds as well, so that is very comfortable indeed. Equaz there just has to stay within 3 seconds of Kamara Racer with that penalty for Kamara, so that he doesn't have to worry too much. And Brabbit as well, if he can get within that 3 second range of Kamara, he could be able to get himself back on the podium here as well, which would be fantastic indeed for Brabbit. Danny as well, like I said, doing a good job there. The order is so close indeed, of course, with the late safety car restart. Yellow flags down the back of the order. It's Zealous. No, it's Vintage off the circuit. Unfortunately for Vintage, had an issue at the exit of... Oh, where's he going? He's off the circuit again. Well, he's off. He's having a spin again. Unfortunately, his Vintage is having a problem there, which is a big shame indeed there for Vintage. He's got himself back underway. Farf and Dylan there back underway as well, going for the fastest lap point. Hopefully, one of them can hold on to it, and they will be able to achieve that at the end of lap 31 here. We're on to the final lap here for Nigel, who's just started the final lap of the Singapore Grand Prix. Like I said, it's one of the longer ones, isn't it? But what a race it's been indeed. Your driver of the day vote is in the comment section. Is Nigel, Equaz or Brabbit? And I would have to urge you all to vote for Equaz, I'm afraid, as it seems like this driver has done a fantastic job. Look at this, from where is it, 18th on the grid with a default setup. It's going to be finishing in P2, and my vote, unfortunately, I will give it away. It's going to Equaz at this stage of the race. Hopefully, again, that isn't a curse for him, and he can at least hold on to that race, but that place, as I say. But it's been a great drive indeed. What a result indeed, as Reflection has got himself past Kaz as well, back up into P13. Unfortunately for Reflection, he had a spin, like I said, on that safety car restart. I'm not sure if it was helped by a helping hand by another driver or not, but hopefully it wasn't. Of course, we prefer it not to be. As what's happened here, Equaz has lost some time now to Kamara. Kamara's really pushing on now. Let's have a look at the gaps. We'll have a look at the gaps there. It's 2 seconds now. Can Brabbit stay within the range? He's got DRS there to pull himself along there to bring that gap down to Equaz, but not to Kamara Racer. Kamara Racer, I think, is pushing on as hard as he can now on this lap to extend the gap to over 3 seconds, or as far as he can, to the drivers around him. I think maybe Equaz running out of VRS, as the same for Brabbit as well. Brabbit needs to stay within that range if he wants a podium here, but it could be Kamara holding on to P2, but Nigel is going to come through the final couple of corners there to win the Singapore Grand Prix. What a fantastic result indeed from Nigel. He's led from the beginning. He's got the fastest lap currently as well, so he could potentially get the Grand Slam here as well with the pole position, the race win and the fastest lap, but we'll have to wait and see. Father's got past Vintage there. Equaz does finish in P2 and Brabbit in P3. Kamara unfortunately missing out there with the penalty in P4, Mumford in P5, Dopey Lemons P6, Cassell in P7, Danny in P8, Smithy Almighty has jumped up past Winnie there for P9. Gordo does get a point there in P8, good P10 I should say, good stuff in even Gordo. Dan Murphy unfortunately in P11, Winnie in P7 with that P12 with that penalty, Kaz in P13, and Reflection in P14. Or Reflection actually retired before he crossed the line, so technically he doesn't finish, which is a big shame. Farf there is going to come across the line now. Oh, I think that might have been a bit of... Oh, as he spun the car on the final corner. Vintage has come through as well to claim P15 ahead of Reflection as well. Farf crosses the line as well ahead of Reflection. I think Reflection actually has been classified as not finishing in this race. Dylan now coming around the final corner. Let's see what Dylan can do. Can he get the fastest lap point? He can at least get the fastest lap point indeed. So good stuff indeed from Dylan, and well played for Dylan as well to stick at it in that race. It was a very difficult one on that restart for him on those old medium compound tyres, but he has got the well-deserved point there for that fastest lap. So at least it was worth it for him as well. Good stuff indeed. But what a race indeed! That ending was quite something to watch, wasn't it? We'll have to clip that up as well, especially for the highlights. But what a great race indeed. Well done, Gordo, says Serious Mushroom as well. Happily take a point, he says in the comment section as well. Great stuff indeed from you, Gordo, as well, clinging on to that point as well, doing a great race at the end there, as was everybody, to be fair, who finished the race, I would have to say. Thanks for the fun, says Kaz as well. Good stuff indeed. Take a flask of him. I think I'm classified. I'm not quite sure if you were in the car at the end of the race there, Zealous, so I don't know if you will be classified at all. Unfortunately, we'll have to look at that again, but I'll have to look at the race replay after the session has finished. But there we go. You need to be in the car to be classified, of course. There we go. The driver of the day poll, I'm not quite sure if it's still going or not. But the driver of the day poll has been up. I think obviously you can see the votes there. 25% for Nigel, 62% for Equaz, and 12% for Rabbit. I think all of them deserving of driver of the day. I would have to say Nigel with a fantastic race, and a race win as well from pole position there. But Equaz there from 18th on the grid with a default setup has got himself a P2 position there, which we didn't think was on the cards at all, did we? Rabbit as well from 17th has got himself up into a P3 there, again with a fantastic drive from the Mercedes driver. Kamara there with that penalty at the end, unfortunately losing out on the podium, but again a really good performance from Kamara as well. Mumford as well recovering after a spin there to get himself back into P5. Dopey Lemons in P6. Cassell there P7 there. He did start P5, but he had a bit of a difficult part of the race as well and got himself back in the points paying positions, which is a good result for Cassell, because he did say he didn't have a good setup, but a good race nonetheless. Danny as well with 4 points for Mercedes as well. Smithy in the points as well. Gordo in the points as well, which is great news indeed for those drivers. Dan Murphy, Winnie, Kaz, Zealous, Favre, Vintage and Dylan also classified in this race, but unfortunately, well, fastest lap there for Dylan. Unfortunately, it was Mr. Elite and V Todd, I think, who were the only drivers to retire and reflection officially from this race. Good stuff indeed. Right then, we'll get the interviews underway. Hopefully we've got some people in the party chat. Fingers crossed we do anyway, so we'll have to find out. Bear with us 1 second whilst we get this up and running. Fingers crossed we've got some people to speak to. Is anybody in there? Can anybody hear me? No, I can't hear anybody. There we go, good. We got 2 people in there. I think we've got Equaz in here as well from P18 to P2 on the grid there. Equaz, you might be looking forward to having a few naps in qualifying in the next few races.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a new strategy. I'll give it a try for the next one.
Well,
yeah, that was pretty wild.
Absolutely brilliant from yourself as well. And I know you were a bit. Well, I think you sounded a bit worried there in the comments when you did wake up to find out you were on default setup, but it seemed to work out for you. How did it handle in the race?
It was terrible. In the first stint, before the first safety car. So what I've done is I just upped the wings when the safety car came in. I think default is like 20 or 30, so I bumped it up to I think like 48. And yeah, that really helped a lot. Just helped me bring the nose in a bit more. But yeah,
well, congratulations to you. Tough, it was a fantastic race indeed. And what did you think towards the end there? Were you thinking that you had a podium on the cards as well? Were you worried about the drivers behind you rather than the drivers ahead of you?
I was not thinking about anything about that at all. The whole race, I was just like, I was like really just upset that I'd done something so stupid like that. But I think it kind of nudged me to push a bit more harder, maybe make a bit more moves that I probably wouldn't have. Yeah.
Maybe it cost you the race win in that case. We'll never know. We'll have to find out. But nonetheless, an absolutely fantastic driver. And you did. I'm not quite sure when. I'm not quite sure when Sean's going to close the driver of the day poll in the comment section, but hopefully he does one day. It does look like you're on for driver of the day, of course, with that drive as well. So fantastic stuff for you as well. Of course, we've got the break week next week, so have a good rest after that one. I think everyone deserves a good rest after that as well. It was a long race indeed, but really congratulations to yourself as well. And on to Nigel there. Nigel, what a race that was from you as well. And I think you probably got a bit annoyed with the safety cars, to be honest, because it seemed like every time you started to create a gap, the safety car came out, didn't it? So what was your thoughts on the safety car situations in this race?
No problem. No, the race was quite easy for me today, so that was fun, of course. But the safety cars were a little bit unfortunately, but it didn't have a problem for me.
No, you were on for a grand slam. Unfortunately, I think Dylan there nicked your fastest lap point at the end on the last lap there on the soft compound tyres. But still, nonetheless, from pole position there, you did have a very controlled and calm race. It looked like at most stages of this race. So congratulations to you as well, because a fantastic win once again, back on the top step after a few podium places as well. So you must be very happy to be back on the top step of the podium.
Yes, of course. The last couple of races was P2 or 3, so to be first again is really nice. And of course, with this race, with the gap, it was very nice indeed.
Well, congratulations to you as well. Good stuff indeed. And of course, like I said, we got the break week as well. But what's your thoughts finally, just before we wrap up the stream there for Japan in 2 weeks' time?
Just doing the same as always.
Good stuff indeed. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, we've got, of course, the bronze action coming up to you tomorrow night. The bronze drivers will be in Singapore as well for their 17th round of their season as well. And then, of course, we have the bit of a practice run for most drivers as well with the Suzuka Grand Prix in the 100% League on the Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. So stay tuned to ALR. We've still got some more action coming up this week, and then, of course, we'll have our break week next week. And we'll be back for some more action in just under 2 weeks' time now as well. So stay tuned to ALR, plenty more action coming up.